Hey, it's MBS here. You know that truth you believe in, that thing you're quite sure of? It might not be as truthy as you think. And I've got a way of testing that for you. It just might be helpful. My inspiration for this actually comes from the 1980s. There was a wonderful ad for the Guardian newspaper. And I think it was called Points of View. You can probably Google this and find out. And over 30 seconds, you see first one glimpse of something that's going on, which is a guy apparently running away from a car. You see a second glimpse of what's going on, and you see the same guy attacking a businessman with a briefcase. And then you see the third thing that's going on, the bigger picture, which kind of reveals that actually it's not running away from is it a criminal, is a thief? It's not a mugger trying to attack somebody. Actually, he's pushing the business person aside to save him from a bunch of bricks that are falling from a construction site. And everything changes when you realize that it takes a certain perspective to see the whole story. And when we believe something is true, quite often it's because it's in our brain. And everything in our brain feels like fact, but it's not. Everything in our brain is a small element of data, of fact, of the objective truth, and a whole bunch of subjective interpretation and judgment and opinion and analysis built around that small kernel of data and of truth. And the trickiness is this: our judgments, our opinions sound like they are the truth to us. So there's a tool I use in particular to help me get beyond my own sense of certainty. And it draws from the school of NLP, Neuro-Linguistic Programming. And it says broadly this: you don't fully understand a situation until you see it from three different perspectives. And I think their fancy term for this is perceptual positions, but let's just call it 3 points of view. So the first point of view is your own. And we've talked about that, and it's the one that feels really true, really real. You're like, okay, what do I truly believe here? And you can immediately start doing something interesting with this when you start going, well, what's data and what's judgment? How do I split out what I believe is true for me between data and judgment? The second perspective to take is the other person's perspective. Because quite often when we're talking about a situation, there's at least one other person involved. So get across, literally be in their shoes, well, not literally be in their shoes, but kind of get in their perspective and kind of go, well, what might they be feeling? What might they be thinking? How might they be experiencing this? What might be going on for them? And literally, physically almost, changing your perspective and going, I'm looking at it from a different point of view here. That will increase your sense of empathy, increase your sense of nuance, increase your sense of ambiguity about what's going on. Turns out that your point of view isn't the only point of view. And then there's a third point of view which is really helpful, which is the fly on the wall point of view. It's the last perspective you see in that Guardian ad that I was talking about. That's when you pull all the way back and you go, all right, from a bird's eye view, fly on the wall point of view, what am I noticing? Particularly in the interaction between this person, which might be you, and this other person, which might be that other person. And I think what's powerful about that is you kind of disentangle yourself from the heat and the light and the emotion of whatever's going on. And also you start understanding that what might be going on might not just be about you and them. It might be about the system, the structure, the processes. You might be seeing the bigger picture about what's going on. So, know who you are, know your biases, and know that when you're seeing something as truth, particularly in the context of you and some other person, it probably isn't the whole truth. And it probably isn't even the most interesting truth. It is just one of those perspectives. And by pulling back, and by going, well, what am I seeing? And what's the data and what's the judgment? And how might they be experiencing this? What might be going on for them? And then what might be going on in the big picture? You're going to get a more nuanced, more understanding, more compassionate, more empathetic point of view about what's going on. How to begin, start doing something that matters. At the heart of this book is the insight we unlock our greatness by working on the hard things. If you want to set a worthy goal, you can find out more and download bonuses at howtobegin.com.